Welcome to Talking Tech, the podcast all about technology. In this episode, I am joined by the wonderful Mike Lloyd. Thank you so much for being in the studio today.
Thanks for inviting me.
No, you're more than welcome. And I've got to say, obviously, apart from the fact that we've obviously been working together very, very recently, it's been many, many years. So nice to see you again.
Yes, and you.
But firstly, we're here to talk about all things Nuvola, and we're going to go into that in quite a bit more depth. But firstly, I kind of want to go into you a little bit more. So for any of the audience, for anybody listening or watching out there, I want to delve a little bit into your background. So firstly, I'm not going to say you're old, obviously, at all. But what I am going to say is that you've spent many years in the IT industry. You originally started your career at Annixter as a Bay network specialist. So again, I think a lot of people out there who've been in the industry a while may remember Bay Networks. And you've also founded and been managing director of some really impressive and successful businesses since. But before I go into kind of the Bay Networks and Nortel and all of that part, what do you think the secret sauce is in terms of, you know, it's no mean feat to kind of set up a business and be a managing director and go through that. So what do you think is kind of the secret sauce?
I think, my first ever job was in a gymnasium. I went to college to study leisure studies, which sounds a bit like, you know, feet up, but it wasn't. It was about leisure management. So I always enjoyed the management side of things. And I went into a gym and I thought, there's no money in gym. So I came out and I thought, okay, I've got to give this a go. I've got to go, not out of my comfort zone, because my parents will always say I'm a salesman, which I am. Cut me in half. So, you know, it's about courage. 100% courage.
Yeah.
You've also got to, you know, it's very courageous to do it on your own. I've never done this on my own. There's always been partners in place as well. So having a good team around you, and also not to be scared about making mistakes. I've made some big mistakes and I will probably continue to. And although I'm a little bit older, disclaimer, I'm 57, I know. So there's still chance to make more mistakes, but there's still chances to have more challenges,
That's
to
how
get
you
excited.
kind of learn, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to make mistakes to kind of go, okay.
Anyone who says their path, their journey in work or life has been smooth, they're lying. You know. So I think you've got to be courageous. It doesn't suit everyone. You know, you also got to have the guts to go, do you know what? I'd rather get a 9 to 5. I'd rather be able to turn my phone off at 5:30. Rather be able to go on holiday and not answer emails. And that's fine. Horses for courses. Yeah. And do you know what? I need people like that as well.
It's quite boring though, isn't it? Do you think 9 till 5 and it's just
I wouldn't know what it's about. I don't remember when I had 9 to 5, although I went on holiday recently and I actually turned my phone off because I've actually got a really good team behind me now.
Yeah.
However, I was still on WhatsApp and stuff. So
I don't think you can't, can you?
No,
You can't just
can't
not. I definitely can't. And your point about obviously the salesman, I think that's a big thing. I get approached by so many people that go, you know, how do I become a really good salesperson? I think you either have it or you don't. You know.
Again, my parents said, you know, my qualification was not really a qualification. Didn't go to uni, and they said, well, you're quite chatty and that sounds a bit naff probably now. However, you've got to have the balls to go to someone and say, all right, yeah. And my first ever job was with a company that sold computer supplies, diskettes, toners, but also fax machines. My first ever job in work, proper work, outside the gym, was a trainee course at IBM. Now, you probably don't remember, but IBM was blue suit, dark tie, white shirt, and that was their rules. But do you know what? Good grounding. And then my second week was walking around the West End with a fax machine under my arm, literally, knocking on doors and saying, I can remember it now, you know, can I speak to the person who's in charge of buying office supplies? Yeah. And I was told to F off, see you later. And luckily in those days, the doors were open, so I could just walk in. However, I came away with compliment slips. And again, people might not remember what they are. They're big, and that was my cold calling. Yeah. So that was the best grounding. You know, my first job, I was paid a basic wage for the first 6 months. Then after that, I had to pay back what they'd paid me for 6 months and get commission only.
Could you imagine that now?
You know, I mean, the company I work for, I don't think they exist anymore, funny enough.
But you know, that reminds me of a film, do you know Pursuit of Happiness, with Will Smith? exactly that,
Yeah.
isn't he? He kind of has to go right out
Yeah.
there. He has to sell it. You know, you're walking door to door, knocking. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a different
And
world
again,
to
though,
now.
I had the support behind me at home. So, you know, I'm not, I'm sure people have had a lot tougher, like, and 100% and respect. But you have to have that support to say, right, go out and give it a go. You know, I
Yeah.
remember I drove to work and we lived over on kind of the other side of the M25 over towards the East End. It took me an hour and a half each day to drive in and drive home, and I was in every single day. Again,
Yeah.
can you imagine that now?
What, you want me in the office
Yeah, yeah,
5 days a
yeah,
week? It's just, oh my God. But I completely agree with that. It's just changed so much, and I do kind of miss the old
yeah.
days. So I think you've already covered this really, but you know, in your opinion, what builds a good business? I mean, I think I know what you might say here, but is there kind of one or two things that you would absolutely not miss out if you kind of did it again?
I think, again, pretty straightforward, having the right product.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got this gleaming little product here that no one wants to buy, it ain't going to work.
Yeah.
So the right product in the right space,
Mm-hmm.
not the place, the space in our world. So again, you know, we're talking about security, and guess what? It's got the acronym AI. That is the right product
Yeah.
in the right space. And it's as fundamental as that. You know, you could be the best salesman in the world. And I've known many estate agent and photocopier salesmen who I always take my hat off to them because they've got the toughest job. And, you know, if the house isn't in the right location, however good you are,
Yeah.
you ain't going to sell it.
No, totally agree, and I love that. And I think from your point of view, you know, it's been no mean feat, you know, to do something. I mean, I've tried it, failed absolutely miserably. But what do you enjoy the most? You know, is it the people? I mean, you've got a great team behind you, like you said.
I was thinking about this. I'm not sure why I started doing it on my own. You know, I worked for some people beforehand, and we then started a company called Unified Networks. And that was really weird. We were at a seminar in I think it was, I'm trying to think where it was. It might have been in Budapest, something like that. And no, I'll tell you what, it's Prague. And it was a Nortel Networks seminar. And we were there, and suddenly they came up with this amazing video that if anyone can see, it's just brilliant. It talks about the future. It talks about having a phone that people can talk to. And that was 1998.
Yeah.
And people going, wow. You know, and it was called Unified Networks. I thought, I like that name. Next minute, I thought, okay. And we were in a business where they were being sold, and I thought, you know what, I could do this as well. So we kind of moved off. And I guess it was the drive and thinking I could do a better job. There's an opportunity, and obviously the success. You know, I'm not going to bullshit there. It's about the money as well. That was always the aggress. But I think that's changed now for me. The success is important, but how you measure success is one thing. Again, you know, made mistakes, had some serious bumps in the road that we've kind of had to go over. And luckily with the team I've got who have stuck by me, and I'm proud of it's not just down to me, but I'm proud of the fact that, you know, our staff retention is pretty minimal. And that's probably the way I manage, and some people would say I'm not hard enough, but I'm kind of thinking, well, I'd rather be maybe a little bit more amiable, give people responsibility, and that makes a good team.
Yeah.
Giving people, make your own decisions, not dictatorship, not saying you've got to do it this way. Clearly there's a number of lines you have to follow, but fundamentally, you know, give them the responsibility.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I mean, I can remember. I think from a managerial point of view, you know, there's the managers that I would follow around, and then there's some
The
that
ones you
I
wouldn't.
haven't. Yeah. And again, I won't say any names, but
Yeah.
that makes a big difference. You know, you can have your career and you can, you know, do your job, but at the same time, I think to do that for a manager that you respect and that you like and that you get on well with, I think that means so much.
Yeah, and I think as a manager, there are different types of manager, and there'll be times when I made the wrong decision, and that's probably because of my nature. So the same managers and feel, but like I say again, I'm getting on now, so I'm not going to change now.
I didn't
This
say
is
that.
how no, I did. I'm not going to change now, so this is how it is. But I'd rather be true to myself. That sounds a bit, you know, poncy, but
I think it's a good thing.
it's I want to carry on doing it that way.
Yeah, no, totally agree. This one's going to be a little bit harder. So if
Is it?
there was one word of wisdom, what would you give your 18-year-old self?
My 18-year-old self, I guess,
Yeah.
my 18-year-old son. He's too late for that.
Yeah.
Courage. Yeah.
Courage to just do
Yeah.
it again. Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
Like
You know,
it.
and again, I think that's pretty relevant in this day and age where our kids are of an age, and I think courage is something they kind of move away from.
Yeah.
And whether that's because we've made it too easy for them, I don't know. However, you know that they could do it.
Yeah.
That's the frustration.
They like to take the easy route
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
Like
and
I'm generalising, but
again, maybe when we were younger, we probably would have done the same thing. However, you know, it's frustrating when you know they've got the ability and you just want to push them, but then you think, do we push them? And
yeah,
so the courage from within yourself is key.
definitely. And I think it also, you know, for anybody, again, a lot of questions are, how do I get into AI? How do we get into cyber? How do we do this? How do we do that? I think a lot of the time it is try it. You know, if there's always been a point in your career that you've gone into something and you've never known anything about it, you've had to learn it, you've had to pick it up. So I think a lot of the time, so anybody that does obviously want to go into cyber or AI, just learn it, pick it up, and just try it and take that first step.
You know, a lot of people say I'm the word wing it kind of fits in with what I used to do. You know,
Yeah.
My first sales interview was this guy left me in the room, said, I'm going to go out and you got to sell me something when I come back in. There was a toaster in the room and there was a Bic pen. So I sold him a Bic pen. I tried to sell him, you know, it's a really good, well-known. But again, you just got to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, again, some people don't want to, and that's absolutely fine. We need the yin and the yang in this world. However, I think if you want to probably test yourself, and you might go out, I'm not going there again. I'm coming back.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, especially from an interview's point of view, a lot of people get so nervous. They're like, oh my God, you know, if I don't get it, it's just as much as an opportunity for you to interview the person that you're going there to work for. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. They think about it all being very one-sided. It's like, you've got the opportunity now to interview with somebody. You might not want to work for them, so...
Yeah, I mean, look, let's not go into the whole social media stuff and how everything's done, because it is daunting as well.
Yeah.
You know, our world was so much easier, and I know this podcast is not about back in the day.
Yeah.
However, you've got to appreciate that it is tougher now, and to kind of even get an interview or whatever it might be, it is not easy.
No, I totally agree with that. And I think, again, I've looked at roles whenever I've sort of moved along, and you've got 100 odd applicants or 150 applicants on LinkedIn, and you just think, is that just people just clicking apply, or is that, you know, I think so. It's definitely more
Yeah, I don't think we're
competitive.
doing ourselves any fan, because we're fans of AI, and AI is probably driving that whole, it's difficult to get in. Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. But there is, I obviously want to go, like, one last point, obviously, before we go into something slightly different. Now, for anybody that does remember the kind of the Bay Networks era, you know, they were massive networking giants of the 1990s, and they were famous for their intense rivalry with Cisco, which is still going to this day. But interestingly enough, I actually did a little bit of research, and I didn't know some of these facts, but it was acquired by Nortel in 1998 for $8 billion, which back in the day was obviously phenomenal. And it is a story in itself, because Nortel at its peak in July 2000 accounted for a staggering 35% of the total value of Toronto's. You know, I didn't even realise that was so big, and it commanded a market capitalisation of 400 billion. But what I also remember, and obviously we kind of went through this at the time, was the staggering 19.2 billion loss in Q2 of 2001. Now, I think I was more wrapped up in, well, who's going to buy them? You know, is it going to be Avaya? Is it going to be somebody else? But, you know, that must have been a huge challenge for you at the time with managing Unified Group and so on, and the unknown. But, you know, that's obviously where we met when I was on the sales floor of Unified Group. What kind of, I think you've already answered it because you obviously went into it, but what challenges did you face at that time in terms of the...
Gosh, yes. So again, my journey in life, you know, I started Unified in 1999. So, you know, we then had a few challenges of 2001, not only the Nortel piece, but obviously the Twin Towers, which had a massive effect.
Yeah.
And then 2008, there was a certain thing with the crash. But certainly at that stage, it was kind of understanding. Again, we only sold Nortel, as you know. We didn't sell any other product, so we hung our hat on it. So I think it was just goes back to a bit. You know, they're buying off people. People buy off people. Again, pretty corny, but that's true. So you just have to give people that reassurance to say. and then not worry about what's going on in Canada and whatever, because guess what? We're not going to influence it. Yeah, we're not going to influence it. And, it is mad, that whole Nortel piece, because obviously, they sold to Avaya, which probably is going to bring Avaya down in the end, let's be honest. And then they still had £3 billion worth of intellectual property they kept. So it's all a bit of I mean, it's another world. You leave them to it.
A funny old time.
But the challenge, it was challenge. You've got to get your head down and keep pushing on and say, and you're going to get the competition going, oh yeah, you don't want to buy Nortel. Oh no, what's going on? And you kind of think, well, no, the product's still here. Still, if anyone buys it, it's going to carry on going, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Which fundamentally is what it did do for a long time.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing in life. There's outside influences you cannot do anything about.
Yeah.
COVID, the Lehman Brothers, the 2001, the Twin Towers, miles away. You can't do anything about it. And if you sit there and think that life's against you, then again, you've got to reality check and go, right, okay.
Still got
a roof over your head.
Yeah.
Family's healthy, whatever it might be, that's how you got to look at it.
No, and I totally agree. Like you said, it's how quickly you can change, adapt, and grow from like you say, external factors. So outside of corporate life, and I think I may know roughly the answer to this, but again, outside of work, if you can manage to not check your emails and so on, I'm not going to mention football, West Ham, or the fact that the whole World Cup is now happening at the moment. But, what do you like to do if you've got a nice piece of downtime, or if there was one place that you could pick, where would it be?
One place to pick. I mean, so me and downtime don't really go together. I can't sit down for very long.
I hear that so much.
Yeah, ask my wife that. I mean, I'm not big on binge watching because I'll get bored. Unfortunately, it's you've mentioned football. So West Ham is my team, as probably everyone knows. And one place I'd go is Ibiza. We got married. Me and my wife got married there. I should know this. 12 years ago. I think that's right. 12 years ago. We can edit that bit. We got married 12 years ago in Ibiza, and we've been going back there every year, twice a year, 3 times a year, sometimes out of season. So that's our safe and peaceful place. I also have a zillion children and quite a few grandchildren now. Got sports day tomorrow with one of the grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
Hoping there's a granddad's race. So that kind of keeps me busy, helping the kids, So, and then obviously there's the standard. I play golf and I play football still, which the day I stop playing football, people should stay away from me because that'll be the end of my life as far as I'm concerned. So golf, football, running.
So you've still got the kind of the gym theme coming along, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my parents are very fit and healthy, and I always look at them and go, their longevity there's got to be something there. So I kind of try and keep myself going, mainly because I want to keep playing football. And as soon as my legs don't work, I won't be able to feel for it. And golf.
So no injuries, injuries just yet. So last question. You've heard of Room 101, where you put things in the box. I'm going to ask you for 2 things, which I know you've already written down. Yeah. I'm just going to ask you what they are and why you've chosen them.
Okay,
or who they are.
The first, no. We haven't gone personal because I ain't got enough pieces of paper. I think my name would be on a few. So the first one is Marmite.
Gotta love it or hate it, haven't you?
And now I know that's a bit corny, but in my household, 2 of my kids love it and they can't live without it. Whereas I'm thinking, where did they get that from?
I'm a lover.
I can't stand it. Don't understand why it's on this earth.
Not even on crumpets? No. Oh.
It's a bit like apricots. Don't understand what's the point of apricots.
Is that what's on the other card as well?
No. It's a bit like apricots.
Yeah.
So let me put that in there,
Fab.
obviously. And then we mentioned my team, so it'll be no surprise.
I like that.
So I'm sorry, everyone.
So anybody who's a Spurs fan, I'm really sorry,
tough.
but there you go.
And there's probably a few others, but mainly Spurs. Unfortunately, we're not playing them next year because West Ham haven't delivered rather than Spurs. I
wish I knew more about the leagues and stuff. I don't really need to get.
Don't worry about it. It's just Spurs and West Ham. We don't like each other. So that would be my other one.
And I'm sure I'm probably going to now have somebody in the studio that's going to be a Spurs fan that's going to put West Ham.
Oh, they probably would. There's probably a few that they don't like.
No, I love that. Thank you very much for putting those in. I've got to disagree with Marmite though because I do love Marmite. Yeah, that's fine.
That's the whole point of it.
So on to Nuvola. again, for anybody who's not come across Nuvola, and I'm super excited to be working with you guys again. You know, there's no kind of shadow of a doubt of, you know, the team that you've got to work with, you know, Gareth and Karen and Mark and, you know, the rest of the team. I'm super excited. But for anybody else, they're a global provider of end-to-end technology and services, working exclusively through the channel and originally specialising in unified comms and security. But from your point of view, tell me a little bit more about Nuvola.
So, you know, again, we've been through a number of iterations, and I've always thought that I think comms is, you know, I've been comms cut me in half, and we mentioned switching and Wi-Fi and all that stuff. Whereas now comms is kind of radically changing.
Yeah.
Some would say UC, for example, the cloud comms stuff is commoditized. Well, we still live off that. It's our bread and butter. It's our foundation to everything. Contact center has moved on, and so we've always been specialists in that, and we're very good at it, and we win business because of our customer interaction, our transparency, our technical know-how, and our end-to-end wrap stuff. So that's Nuvola. However, we've now, with AI kind of firmly suddenly hitting us with probably 12, 18 months ago, you know, we've had to wake up and go, right, okay, this is real, this is happening. And certainly with all the vendors we work with, AI, with 8x8 and Ring and those guys, AI is their number one product they sell.
Yeah.
Everything is built around that. And Nuvola, we haven't got the word distribution in our name anymore.
Yeah.
We still work with the channel. That's what we do. However, it's more about solution selling.
Yeah.
So where you have an MSP and their go-to-market is, right, buy a solution off us, what colour the box is behind, doesn't matter. We're going to do the solution for you. We are the same. So we work from a very consultative role. There is people out there who talk about advisors and what we're consult. We think consultative means that you're actually sitting there next to that reseller talking to that end user and taking as much responsibility. Not just going, oh, you should buy a blue one. There you go, here's the pricing, see you later. It's, right, we'll work on the discovery, the pre-sales, the demos, whatever it might be, all the way through to the actual sale. And that's where we very much are. So people come to us and say, right, you know, with the MSPs, they'll go, there's a white space in our portfolio. Yeah. And we'll go, okay, you know, we do Cisco, but there's a bit there that neither of those suit. So we will then go with a solution to them that they can wrap. And now, I think, you know, that's what we're very good at. In terms of the security, the data security, whatever the terminology people want to use, with AI and contact center and the comms world, they certainly are crossing over now. Very much so. So partners, and what's important to us is that we go to partners and say, well, here's the solution there. And they don't go, oh, yeah, but there's a big gap here. Yeah. Oh, you're going to go somewhere else. We're going to go, right, okay. If you're doing AI in your contact center with transcription, etc., you're going to need to look at security. Where's that transcription going? Who's moving it around? How's it? So, okay, so let's make sure we get data protection even on that. And that means that those resellers, when they're talking to the end user will go, oh, by the way, what do I do about security on this? They go, got a solution for you. And that's where working with you guys is perfect. You've got the products that cover everything we need to do. And there's no, you know, and that's why, again, it's a bit like voice and data back in the day. They came together, and I sure security will become part of the solution when you're talking about comms. So we want to be able to, in that position, say, okay, here we go.
Yeah. No, I don't. And it's quite refreshing as well, because obviously you're talking about being that proactive sort of a bridging gap between obviously a partner and a vendor sometimes. And, you know, especially as we're, you know, from a Cyberhaven's perspective, is where we're growing and we're kind of looking to scale. You know, you kind of have that technical expertise in-house to be able to go, well, we can pick up some of the demos, we can pick up some of the technical advice and so on. So I think it's actually really exciting, like you said, from a kind of a comms, UC, cyber, AI, it kind of fits all the different areas.
99% of the vendors we don't hold a lot of vendors anymore. You know, we're very kind of focused on UCaaS, on CCaaS, CPaaS, mobile workers or whatever, and Teams ecosystem. That's what we're good at. And all those things, we are self-sufficient. So we don't call upon our vendors say, right, can you hold our hand?
Yeah.
Now, when we take a product on like Cyberhaven, we're going to be working with you to get to the right vendor partners.
Yeah.
And I think that's where we've always been very proud of, and making sure that we can, in the end, take a load off the vendors, because again, vendors like everyone are having to look at their costs and where they're getting value. And distribution, again, 25 years ago, it was the channel in the UK was quite clear: vendor, distribution, reseller, end user.
Yeah.
With the cloud, it's got a bit murky in there. You know, the vendor talks to end user potentially. Vendor talks to directly to a reseller. And that's where I think the vendors are now going to go, hold on, you know, why don't we use these distributors to help us?
Yeah.
They're part of us, and that's what we try and do at Nuvola.
And especially as a kind of a growth, not just in UK and I, but obviously, you know, across EMEA, you know, globally, I think you do need that hand holding with a, you know, distribution channel, or like you say, a channel team that can help you with that. So you mentioned as well, you know, the demand in terms of, we're seeing a big increase in resellers, you know, value-added resellers, people that obviously want to grow it. So if we start to look at UC and AI and how that's growing, are you seeing the same thing from a reseller's point of view, as in, well, look, we now want to move more into cybersecurity, we now want to move more into AI? How are you kind of seeing that change or that shift?
I mean, we see the AI, they don't have a choice. Because again, if you're selling 8x8 will be leading with their AI Studio or Ring Central AI Assistant.
Yeah.
So you have no choice. I think a lot of resellers don't know what to do with that, and think, okay, it's a license and we'll just plug it on and walk away. They could do so much more with it.
Yeah.
They can, you know, talk about how AI can help, and not just always, you know, square peg round hole. Oh, you need AI. Sometimes they might not. And there's how much of the features and benefits the features of the product do they need, you know. So I think that's how they can differentiate themselves. And we're telling them, like I say, to say, these IT resellers who in the past have wanted to get into comms, right, okay, we can talk about comms and your comfort zone, which is security. So we can now bring it together, glue it together, and they can go in there with them. So I think certainly, you know, the IT world are now trying to get into the comms world. By us kind of traversing both security and comms makes them feel a little bit better. And we might start the conversation about, you know, data lineage, DLPs, whatever it might be, but then move them and say, right, by the way, have you thought about when you're talking to that customer, they're probably looking at a contact center with AI and etc. Well, you now can have that conversation.
Yeah, it's a quite nice. I think it's quite a nice gap, and so many people, especially on that topic of AI, because everybody's talking about it. But when you talk to somebody about AI, they typically go, well, it's ChatGPT, or it's, you know, it can write a presentation
Copilot
for me.
whatever,
It's just, I don't think people are using it to its full potential. But at the same time, there's a lot of vendors who are kind of going, well, we're doing AI. And you're kind of going, well, it was a bit like cloud before when there was a project. Oh, we're going cloud. Well, what do you mean by cloud, or what do you mean by AI? So I think that is
I mean,
really
I mean, just on AI, what fascinates me with AI, and you know, I'm not that hung up about it, but what fascinates me, it's touching everyone, from business all the way to home life. You know, and there isn't many things in the world that have done that for potentially the positive. I mean, people are saying there might be negatives, but you know, that is a technology that is coming to us.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know it's been around for a while. You know, you've got Alexa and stuff like that, which is pretty AI-ish. It does what you want, tells you what you want to hear, type thing.
Yeah.
So I think it is quite intriguing, but we just got to give people the confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, I'm even getting, my husband said to me yesterday he's had an argument with AI, and as if it's like an actual person or a female. So it's definitely, you know, kind of going, you know, personal as well as business. So in terms of the team at Nuvola, and I think you've already said about this, but what do you think the unique selling points of Nuvola are?
Pretty straightforward. I mean, we've been doing it for a long time. Customer interaction, making sure they get what they need in a timely manner, and it's correct. And our team are very good at that: customer support, customer experience, whatever. Technical know-how, and also know how to sell. As in, what do an end user want to hear, rather than just being an account manager. So I think we've got those things tied up, and then we've obviously got the whole professional wrap around, which again, the experience in voice, for example, is second to none.
Brilliant. And I love that. And I love that, obviously, the breadth that you've got. So we've obviously spoken, both of us have spoken about obviously how good Nuvola are. You recently won Distributor of the Year. Talk to me about that.
It was EMEA Distribution of the Year.
Oh, okay.
Just be clear. It was with 8x8, who is one of our big trusted vendors. Really great to work with. They get us, which is important, and I know that's no mean feat. So Distributor of the Year, it's not just how many licenses we've sold, but also customer retention, lack of churn, all the key things, selling new products they have. So yeah, we're really proud of that. And we're looking forward to receiving a bit of glass that we can...
Like that. Hope to see it all over LinkedIn.
Well, marketing's a big thing for us, so that'll be there.
No, I'd love to see that. That's really good. And from both of our sides, obviously, because of me being in the channel and obviously you guys working with the channel, let's talk about the type of resellers that what does an ideal reseller look like for you? Okay. I know I've got my answer.
I'm not going to be. I'm going to be honest. Any reseller is important to us. However, what we do find is, like again, mentioned the IT world. They're coming over to the comms. Yeah. The traditional voice partners, who there are still a lot out there. They're going to be coming into the security, so that's great for us, and also maybe move into the AI piece. And then finally, the MSPs. We work with a lot of MSPs who have this kind of, I mentioned before, this gap where they need support into opportunities because they've got to have the full wrap. So they're probably the key partners for us.
Brilliant. No, I like that. And I would agree with you in that sense, is that, we're looking for all sorts of, value-added resellers. But it's very difficult. So many times people go, well, what's your ideal reseller? And you kind of go, well, it's very difficult because if I think, well, the ideal reseller would be this, this, and this, and they would have X amount of, end users, they're not always the right type of reseller because some of them have so many vendors they don't want to take on anymore. So that's instantly, well, okay, we'll leave them for now. Sometimes it's, well, I want the really big guys because they have the really big enterprise customers. You think, well, yeah, that's great. But again, sometimes that can take a long time to actually, get in there, work on it. Sometimes the more small niche boutique type. So I think, again, if somebody was to ask me that question, I think every reseller deserves, an opportunity to work in that kind of program.
Anyone who wants to work with us, they're happy to join.
Yeah, strategic as possible. So no, I do like that. So from your point of view, I perhaps maybe should rephrase this because I was going to say, do you see this as a big growth area for Nuvola? But I would say, where do you kind of see the growth for Nuvola in the next sort of 12 to 18 months? Do you think that is new or do you think there's a combination?
I think definitely a combination. We what we do is good. So we will pick up business from the UCAS, CCAS, the stuff that we do in our sleep. However, the security, the AI security, that piece is going to be really important for our business to ensure that we have, a couple of lines of business, which means that, you don't have all your eggs in one basket, all those bits and pieces, but also seeing an opportunity where, we want to broaden our skills, but also maybe bring it all together as well.
Nice. I like that. So we're going to go into something a little bit different in a second. But what I'm also going to do as well is we've got a whole heap of links, resources, visit the website. I know that we're obviously working on a few things like press releases and so on at the moment. But I think, more importantly, where would you, if somebody said, oh, actually, it looks quite interesting, Nuvola, or, from a different point of view, where would you sort of recommend that people go to?
Gosh, in this day and age, probably go on the LinkedIn page, look at Nuvola, and link into myself or Karen or Katrina or whoever's on there. Link in, get in touch. Obviously, get in touch with Cyberhaven. They will point them to us, I hope. I'm not going to give you my mobile number. I'm sure a lot of people have it for good and bad reasons. Just drop us a line and, even if it's just very exploratory and thinking, okay, I'm thinking about it, we would love to talk to you. Definitely.
So we'll put all the links below so that everybody can go on there. But now I have a little challenge for you, and I know you've been super excited for this. So the Tower of Hanoi, as you've seen on previous episodes. So the challenge is, and I'll slow it down for you. The challenge is, a bit close to you. The challenge is you've got to get all 5 discs from one peg to the other. It doesn't matter which peg, but one to the other. You have 3 minutes, which we are going to time. You can only put a small disc on top of a bigger disc, and you can only move one at a time. So, and you've obviously got to beat Ben, who is currently at the top of the leaderboard in 52 seconds.
Okay. So. I don't know if I can move my hands that quick. He must be young and agile.
No pressure. But your time starts now. And I do try to keep quiet, but it's almost impossible to actually do that.
I'm not sure this is a great piece here, and I've messed up already. That was meant to go there.
I feel like maybe we need to get one of the team from Nuvola as well on this, just whatever. To see.
I'm doing my best.
It's already looking good.
I'm not sure it's looking that great. Yeah, that's good. No, that's not good. Great TV. Sorry, everyone.
I think in future episodes I might spice it up a little bit and put a couple of extra discs on to see if
that'll be interesting. So I've got to move that there. That's the problem, as I'm sure everyone has the same problem. Crumbs, am I going backwards? I think I might be. Oh, this is worrying. 52 seconds.
Yep.
Well, that's just ridiculous.
You've got 1 minute 30 left.
Have I?
Yep. Oh, look, there we go.
How much have I got left?
1 minute 18 seconds.
I am probably going backwards there.
Oh.
That's a weird noise.
That put you off, though?
Yeah.
There we go.
Well, no.
Nearly there.
We're not there. Oh, no. 52 seconds. That's ridiculous. He obviously hasn't got anything better to do in his life.
And so you had 44 seconds left to go. So you didn't quite make the top of the leaderboard, but you did complete it.
I
in
finished.
10 minutes. Yeah, you did.
Well, that's very polite of you.
So thank you so much for joining me in the studio. You can relax now.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me in the studio.
Thank
it's been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully it will be the first of many.
Yeah.
Anybody else out there, the episode's coming soon. Check it out now.